members of parliament, meaning that the members of parliament, you see normally parliament creates breaks and say we are going into recess. The purpose of recess is that the members of parliament return to their constituencies to interact with their people, the voters who are their employer in any case, because I don't know who voted for them. So if we are to mirror the 11th parliament with the 12th parliament, of course 11th parliament has had its challenges, which you have all had. I'm not the spokesperson of parliament, but when I was a candidate for speakership, at least my campaign was anchored on 4 pillars. The first was the restoration of rule of law in the parliament. Because the way we were proceeding, there was purely a problem. I had people saying that, there is no strict separation of powers. After all, even when the president, when parliament makes a law, passes a law, it might be assented to by the president. That would mean that actually it would be parliament to complete the entire business. That there's no harm in the mixture, but there is. Because the only way you hold people to account by knowing that there is a watchdog of some sort here. Our people, for instance, don't fear the media. They fear scrutiny. And when I talked about accountability as one of the pillars, I was saying that there must be scrutiny of what parliament does. That's why I was arguing that it was going to become a policy directive that after every quarter, parliament must publicize the works they have done within the quarter and the cost to see whether there is value for money in terms of accountability. Then, the leaders themselves, we must also account. It's not true that we are the alpha and omega. The way things used to be that parliament doesn't account to anybody. Parliament must account to the public. The other pillar was ensuring that the aspirations and the aspirations of the Ugandans would be decided from the workings of parliament. You saw where a bill was rushed as if it was about building an hospital. People were dying and there was no another place to be. The way bills are initiated, or laws, are to deal with a certain mischief in society. Bills are initiated in cabinet by a cabinet memoranda, which clearly details what the problem is, the judicial review they have done, and why that particular law actually is required. But some of those issues, the way they were rushing bills, left a lot to be desired. And God does things His way, exposed them on the sovereignty bill. Because they had to change almost 90% of the bill. Then the question would be, what happened to the other 140 bills, which were rushed in the similar way? In the 9th and 10th Parliament, when a bill was laid in Parliament, it would be referred to the relevant committee, and the Speaker, some controversial bills would normally create time, leave for members of Parliament to go and consult their constituencies on these bills. Not in a very hasty way that people are actually rushing to pass the bills. So that has been one pillar which I thought needs to be restored. That people must see themselves in the workings of Parliament. After all, the Parliament is for the people. Parliament isn't for members of Parliament. They are also people, but they are there to deal with the aspirations of the public. That's why we need to account. The other one was equity and inclusivity. I had been given to understand that cartels had been created and cliques in the Parliament. And I'm glad the Deputy Speaker, when he was speaking to the members during the orientation, he had to come out clear on that matter. Because there are some MPs of my caliber who will never go to a Speaker's office to beg for a trip or to beg for a favor, because I believe it will compromise my oath. and in effect compromising my work. So that's why we are saying there must be an equitable way of doing things in the parliament, so that the people don't shift their allegiance from the voters now to the speaker, because you are looking for per diem. You understand? That is when we talk about equity and inclusivity. Of course, when we talked about restoration of the rule of law, many things, there was no budget discipline. That all the votes, you see parliament also, it has vote holders. Parliament is a vote, but there are departments where when you are raising a budget, it rises from departments. Work plans are generated from the department. So when the money would come, it will be raided, and there would be no, and everybody would fear to talk. Because you never know, if you complain, you may not get a trip. So I'm saying that now we can do better. We can do better. I'm impressed with the 12th Parliament. I've seen some seasoned members of Parliament who are there, but also the way we start also is very important. That's why my candidature was in twofold for speakership: to present the opposition alternative vision for Parliament, and I'm glad the Speaker who won, Honorable Jacob Oboth-Oboth, Honorable Speaker. Actually, if you look at his 7 points now, the 4 points I raised form part of his 7. But if we did not run, who knows, maybe they would not even consider dealing with those matters. Then, lastly, is holding the executive and the judiciary to account. Because there was a merger, and I challenge Uganda Law Society, the election petitions were filed. They must be handled expeditiously. But because Parliament would not talk, because there was almost like a merger of the legislature and the judiciary, they buried the petitions up to now. Nothing has been done on those petitions. They are hiding that there was no special money to deal with election petitions because it's specialized legislation. At the end of the day, people who are not supposed to be in the parliament are going to be in the parliament for this period. They are going to borrow as if there is no tomorrow. They are going to get money grant for the car. By the time they are removed from parliament, they will have caused financial loss to the public. So I will implore Uganda Law Society to write to the Chief Justice. The law says the petition must be disposed of in a certain period of time. They used to be handled expeditiously until this notion of people wanting to get allowance from election petition, that they do it a special session. Why should handling election petition become a special matter? Because this petition would have been disposed of by the resident judges even as of now. What is so special with handling election petition? So that means that the part which would be supervising, people who would be raising those issues now in the parliament will be parliament. That is if the speaker allowed the same to be raised. But since we exist in our own right, and we are not looking for favors now, there is a platform to raise those matters. Then the appointments, like the appointments committees in the parliament, where parliament must do its work, vet people who are appointed to public office. The way it was being done before, it was that whoever would come would pass, and people would rush for favors from those people. Because once council appears before you, when she's coming for approval, as a judge, you know, maybe let me pass her, maybe when I have a case, I'll go to her. That must stop. You approve a monster in a public office, he or she will descend on the public. You will have failed in your duty. So I want to say that the 12th Parliament is alive to the challenges of the 11th Parliament, and we would not wish to inherit a badge of dishonor. We want to begin on a fresh page. So having said that, I want to thank you for having listened to me. I had a tight schedule, but my brother here, when he extended the invitation, I will not turn it down. But I want to, for now, to allay the fears of everybody. It's not going to business and as usual. We have been around. We are not looking for favors from anybody. We are here to serve our people. That was also the fear which other members had in the 11th Parliament. People would fear to raise anything. And at that time I saw the Deputy Speaker. Like what I liked about him, that he was responding to issues we were raising. So we cannot run Parliament like a cartel. That himself even fear to come to Parliament someday when he doesn't have money to give MPs. Just imagine an institution where the Speaker is hiding from his own members because he doesn't have money to give them. We told him, you don't need to give him MP any money. They are paid. You understand? If you complain about that being done by voters, displacing MPs in their constituencies, then how can you members displace a Speaker? How will you complain about the 1 inch when they are displacing an MP? So I'm very optimistic that with the leadership we have in the Parliament, we may have disagreements in other issues, but they have given the assurance that they will operate as per the law, and the wishes and aspirations of our people will be met. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Paul Mwiru, for that very hearty breakdown of your expectations and an outlook of the 11th Parliament. Will pardon me for the error of you not being in the 11th. So you are a watcher. You saw everything that happened in the last Parliament. And of course, from what he has just said, I tie it down to an African proverb that says, when the rhythm changes, the dance must also change. The Honorable is here to tell us that it is a fresh page and the 12th Parliament is alive to the challenges of the 11th Parliament. He has also helped us as a parliamentarian and also one that was in the 9th and the 10th to give us a few basics. It's also a learning curve, as you're aware. This is a very engaging discussion that helps those that are here and listening very attentively to learn. The last week we were here with Professor Mwembesa, who was teaching us about the different categories of corruption, and he has touched some of them. Things like favoritism, like getting per diem for you, which of course compromises your commentary as far as representation is concerned. Of course, he has also spoken about the role of Parliament, and it's very important for us to allow to be educated, because in this building we're here to learn and unlearn. Where you thought you knew better, you were going to be schooled. It's very important for us to appreciate the role of the parliamentarians we send to Parliament, because this is an every 5-year cycle. Public accounts have also been spoken about, in which we are supposed to own the responsibility once you have been given public money. But also to the Honorable, he has spoken about more than corruption. To him, as he said, maladministration takes the day for him, because therein lies so many vices for which only corruption is one. Okay, so I think we need to take cognizance of his lecture or insights as far as the 11th Parliament challenges and performance is concerned. Of course, he has also spoken about that fear that can never be spoken about, just because the auditor